Gentlemen, welcome to Fight Club.
We're a generation of men raised by women. I'm wondering if another woman is really the answer we need.
You think you know the Fight Club twist, but here's the real mystery nobody's talking about. How did a film critiquing masculinity become Andrew Tate's favorite movie? How did David Fincher's warning about consumerism and empty rebellion get turned into a self-help guide for the very men it was criticizing? Fight Club didn't inspire Andrew Tate, misunderstanding it did. In this video essay, we're going to explore the hidden details David Fincher buried, the uncomfortable truth the internet refuses to acknowledge, and re-examine one of the most shocking endings in cinema history and answer the question, did Tyler Durden become the poster boy for the very system he claimed to hate? Let's start with the plot, because even the surface level is often misremembered. Our unnamed narrator, played by Edward Norton, is a corporate drone suffering from insomnia, trapped in the soul-crushing routine of disposable IKEA furniture and single-serving packets. He's trying to fill a spiritual void with material possessions. He finds temporary, pathetic relief at support groups for diseases he doesn't have. That's where he meets the two key figures who will change his life. Marla Singer, the tourist in suffering, and Tyler Durden, the hyper-confident soap salesman and ultimate fantasy solution. The iconic twist happens about two-thirds through. Tyler Durden doesn't exist. He's a hallucination, a projection of everything the narrator isn't, but wishes he could be. Confident, primal, and free from society's rules. The final confrontation isn't a fight between two different men, but rather an internal battle. He shoots himself in the mouth to kill the Tyler persona. The explosive climax sees the narrator and Marla holding hands as the skyscrapers containing credit card company databases explode, theoretically wiping out debt records. The final line, "You met me at a very strange time in my life." But the twist isn't just about who Tyler is, it's what he represents. Is he a hero, or is he a symptom? David Fincher left us clues throughout the movie answering this very question. So how do we know Tyler was never real? Let me show you the receipts. Fincher planted evidence of Tyler's non-existence throughout the entire film, and most viewers completely missed it. There are single-frame flashes of Brad Pitt inserted before Tyler is properly introduced. Pay attention, at the 2:47 mark, you can see him flash by a photocopier, then later in a laundromat, and even lurking in support group scenes. These subliminal cuts last less than a second, foreshadowing that Tyler exists only in the narrator's mind. Here's a fun one. Tyler's actual job is splicing single frames of pornography into family films at a movie theater. Fincher subtly mirrors this by inserting single frames of explicit porn throughout Fight Club itself. Another layer of subliminal messaging confirming Tyler's dark presence. Even better, a Starbucks coffee cup is visible in nearly every scene to mock corporate ubiquity. The consumer capitalist world is always present. Watch the car crash scene carefully. After their car flips over, Tyler walks away completely fine. The narrator is the one who was actually driving alone. There's no physical way both could have walked away from that crash because only one person was ever in that car. Marla Singer is the only character who exists in reality. She never speaks to both characters at the same time. Every interaction she has is either with the narrator or with Tyler, but never both simultaneously. She's the reality check that can't be fooled by the narrator's psychosis. Even the phone call scenes are airtight proof. When Tyler answers the phone at their house, the narrator is always elsewhere. When the narrator tries to call Tyler to warn people about Project Mayhem, the phone just rings endlessly because he's literally calling his own imaginary friend. Later, I'll show you how real fight clubs still exist today, and why that's the darkest misunderstanding of all. Fight Club is fundamentally about the masculinity crisis of modern men. That line everyone loves to quote, "We're a generation of men raised by women," is not some profound truth. It's the complaint of a psychologically broken man creating a fantasy solution to his alienation. Tyler Durden represents the toxic, dangerous answer to that male insecurity. The simplistic idea that violence, chaos, and destruction will somehow make you whole again. Tyler isn't the cure. He isn't the hero. He isn't the answer. He's the disease. The film warns us that this hyper-masculine fantasy leads directly to chaos. Project Mayhem isn't liberation. It's a cult where men surrender their individuality to follow a charismatic leader. They literally become space monkeys, following orders without question. The narrator's entire arc is about realizing he needs to reject this rigid, toxic fantasy, not embrace it. The consumerism critique is just as misunderstood. People remember the IKEA nesting instinct monologue, but they forget that Tyler's rebellion becomes another form of consumption. He's not anti-consumerism. He's just selling a different, more destructive product, his philosophy. Instead of buying a sofa, you're buying into his view of the world. It's still transactional, still about purchasing a ready-made identity through external sources. Marla Singer is the key that most people overlook. Marla's messy, broken, and real, which is exactly why Tyler can't exist in the same room as her. She represents authentic human connection, which is exactly what Tyler's philosophy destroys. While Tyler offers the fantasy of masculine power, Marla offers something Tyler can't: the uncomfortable reality of being human. The ultimate message is not that we should tear down society to become Tyler. It's that self-destruction isn't enlightenment. Hitting bottom doesn't make you wise, it just means you've hit bottom. In the end, the narrator finds real liberation when he rejects Tyler entirely and chooses an authentic human connection with Marla, despite it being messy and complicated. The ultimate irony of Fight Club's legacy is that the anti-consumerist manifesto became consumerism's perfect product. David Fincher recently admitted his fear that Tyler Durden would be idolized, and reality proved him right in the most devastating way possible. The system didn't just fight Tyler Durden's rebellion, it put it on a t-shirt. The character who declared, "The things you own end up owning you," became a product himself, sold on t-shirts, posters, and even artisanal soap bars. Brad Pitt's chiseled physique, meant to represent a hollow fantasy, became the actual product being sold to insecure men. Look at supplement companies like Gorilla Mind that literally use Tyler Durden aesthetics in their marketing. An anti-consumerist character selling pre-workout supplements. The man who mocked corporate branding became a brand himself. They've taken Tyler's rebellion and turned it into a marketable, purchasable identity. The system learned that the most profitable rebellion is the one you can buy. Fincher showed us this exact phenomenon in the film. When Project Mayhem starts selling their homemade soap to department stores, they're literally becoming the very capitalists they claim to despise. Merchandise was just the beginning. The internet took Fight Club's satire and weaponized it through what we now call the Sigma Male Pipeline. Search Sigma Male Fight Club on TikTok. You'll find thousands of edits showing Tyler Durden in slow motion with funk music. His psychotic breakdown became aesthetic goals. The character having a mental health crisis became the toxic ideal young men aspire to emulate. This pipeline found its ultimate expression in Andrew Tate. He built a $100 million empire quoting Tyler Durden while selling the exact consumerism Tyler critiques. He is Tyler Durden without the self-awareness. The man who tells you to reject the system became the system's most profitable product. The literally me culture co-opted not just Tyler, but Patrick Bateman from American Psycho, creating this bizarre pantheon of mentally ill characters as masculine ideals. On Reddit's r/Fight Club, people genuinely debate if Tyler was right, completely missing that the question itself proves they've fallen for the film's trap. Instead of coming to the conclusion that Tyler is the problem, they're having the same internal debate the narrator had. And even Jordan Peterson cites Fight Club as a masculinity parable, missing that the masculine ideal he's praising is a delusional terrorist. The intellectual framework that should help people understand the film's warning instead became a giant vehicle for misunderstanding it. The most disturbing development is that real-world fight clubs are still forming. With men literally beating each other in parking garages and basements, they're recreating the surface-level activity without understanding that the film shows this as empty and destructive. The violence isn't the solution, it's the symptom of larger issue, a disease. This pipeline reveals something crucial. We've lost the ability to distinguish between critique and endorsement. The internet has turned Fincher's warning into a blueprint, and in doing so, has proven we needed that warning all along. At the end of the day, we need to realize that the system always wins. You thought you knew the Fight Club twist, but the real twist is that we became exactly what Fincher warned us about. We consume the critique of consumption. The system doesn't destroy rebellion, it sells it back to you. Supplement companies like Gorilla Mind literally use Tyler Durden aesthetics to sell pre-workout. Masculinity coaches use his hitting bottom philosophy to sell $2,000 courses on reclaiming power. Men's rights movements, quote, "were a generation of men raised by women," unironically, missing that this line comes from a delusional character. Fight Club warned us that men would find identity through consumption and violence. And what happened? Men consumed the warning. They bought the t-shirts, quoted the philosophy, joined the gym cult, all while thinking they were rejecting the system. Tyler Durden said, "You are not your job, you're not how much money you have in the bank." But he became a job for influencers, a bank account for supplement companies, and a product for every man who thinks buying the right philosophy will fix him. This is why media literacy matters. If we could turn Tyler Durden into a pre-workout ad, what other films are we completely misreading? That's what I'm covering next, so hit subscribe.